Awesome. Let's do the intro.
Welcome to Listen Up, a powerful, potent podcast to have real, raw, authentic conversations. I'm your host, Ella, and I am so blessed that you are here. Welcome.
I always get it to yeah.
I love it. Oh, it's so beautiful. Yay!
This is so exciting, guys. Episode 3 of Listen Up.
I know.
Amazing guest. My dear forever friend, super sacred soul sister, Ashley Lord from Off the Mat into the World. We have been on this crazy, amazing journey together for a very, very long time. Felt like it would be such a disservice to not have her as a guest. So welcome, Ashley. Yay.
Thank you so much, Beauty. I am so honored and blessed to be here to just hang out with you and connect in this space. I'm so proud of you for this new adventure that you're going on with your podcast. And yeah, it's really amazing to just share some space and to connect with you and to connect with whoever will be here to listen to what we have to say today. It's been I hear you when you say the crazy journey we've been on, because we've known each other for many moons, like probably over 10 years, I think.
Over 10 years.
Long time.
Long time.
Yeah, long time. I know. So it's really kind of wild and amazing how technology is like a blessing and a curse. But I think if you use it intuitively, if you use technology with in intention, it is such a beautiful tool. So grateful that we've been able to stay connected. And
me too.
Yeah,
me too. It's such a blessing. It really is.
So good.
Be able to stay connected and reconnect and
totally.
Yeah. So
and where are you coming from live? You're Florida, right?
I'm in Florida right now. Yeah.
You're in Florida.
I'm in
Florida.
Cold Canada. Right?
I'm in cold Canada. It's very cold here. I'm actually, so I'm from, for you guys listening, I'm from Toronto, Canada, but I'm actually out in BC right now. So I am in Kelowna, beautiful Kelowna.
Is that like on the other
in the Okanagan Valley? So it's really, so it's like the totally other side of the country. So it's on the West Coast. So I'm on Pacific time. So same, time zone as LA.
That's awesome.
Basically just follow the coast all the way up. And then when you get to Canada from California, that's British Columbia. And then I'm kind of inland, in the Okanagan Valley. So closer towards the interior of BC. Actually, I think maybe Kelowna is kind of close to the border. Yeah, because I think Kelowna is only about 3.5 hours Vancouver. Nice. Here I am.
Here you are. Yeah. So with this episode, it's really just really open-ended, really conversational. Just in general with this podcast, I'm really feeling to keep it conversational and have it be what it's meant to be. And I would say the goal with Listen Up is really opening up to conversations around so many different topics that I've kind of come to know and connect with, and really bring awareness to conversations that people just aren't aware of, or unintentionally turn a blind eye, or don't know how to have conscious conversations around. I know you recently just published a book of poetry, which I absolutely love
I did.
so much. It's
Thank
so
you.
good.
Thank you. I have her right here.
It's
Yeah.
in the heart of the light. It is just
Thank you so much, Ella. Yeah, my book is called, I'm just going to put that down. My book is called In the Heart of the Light, Poetry of Awakening. And it was very much channeled through me from the ethers. Writing is, it's my divine work. It's my divine gift, but it's also like writing is such a beautiful tool, like journaling and just connecting through spirit, like through yourself, through the pen, through spirit. It's such a beautiful way to channel. So whether you're a writer or not per se, I've always found that writing has been really therapeutic to just navigate my emotions and be able to just process. It's definitely been one of the ways that I process the experiences that I've been through. And so a lot of this book is really, it came from this instinct of I want to put all of these poems that I've written over the years and years and years of writing. I wanted to publish them together, but then the book kind of started to take on her own energy. And I really started to get a lot more clear about what the intention of putting her out into the world was, which is to support all of the hearts who need to hear the medicine words. And so these poems were all channeled from very much my own personal experiences of heartache, of learning to navigate self-love and to really like flip the script in my head of just practicing more kindness for myself. And so a lot of these poems, I mean, all of them, they are very personal to me, but they're so universal in their messages. And they're so, like, sometimes still I read the poems and they're just so divine to me that they were given to me as my medicine as I channeled them, and it really helped me move through hard times. But then as this book was coming to be, and as I was getting these intuitions of like, your writing is not for you anymore, it's to be able to be shared with the world and expressed through me and offered out through me and through the book. But it was to support others in their healing journey, to hold space for others in their healing journey, to just bring that sweetness of the divine into our hearts, because poetry and poetic medicine, it has this beautiful way of just being able to transport us into that feeling of safety in our heart, and that feeling of being nourished by divine love. And that is really, I feel, what this book stands for, and really what the medicine of it is to connect us with that essence of softness, of that essence of sweetness, especially when we're going through a hard time. And because I think this book came from heartache, it's about being able to connect with that heartache fully. I mean, like, we have to go to the depths. We have to go to the darkness. We have to meet those feelings to be able to move into the light. Like the darkness, the dark things, the hard things that happen to us in our life, they're our teachers. They're our greatest teachers. And I think, the harder things are, the more opportunity we have to have access to more of the light. So is it a Rumi quote? I think it's Rumi. The wound is the space where the light enters. Is that Rumi?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's
I'm
I
not
think that's a Rumi
100%,
quote.
but I think it's a really
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's really
So
yeah. Poetry
thank
is
you. Yeah, so that's very sorry, go ahead.
I just feel like the lag time is a little bit like I don't know if you can hear me well or I can.
Oh,
So I don't know if you're getting like it's coming through. Um, so it's a little
it's coming through, but I think that there is a little bit of a lag time. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, people who are
We'll
listening.
do our best.
Yeah. Um, uh, yeah. Poetry, I think specifically, is super, super healing, right? And I think there's such a misconception to poetry, especially that it has to rhyme, right? And that's
Hmm.
like that's such a huge misconception that it actually doesn't have to rhyme. Um, and I think that's the beauty of it. One of the biggest beauties of it is that it doesn't have to rhyme. And I just find it such a beautiful, like expressive art, poetry.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yes,
Um,
I completely agree. It doesn't have to rhyme. There are many poems in my book that do rhyme, and then there are many that don't.
yeah, yeah.
But I agree with you. Poetry is yeah, it's there's something about expression that is very nourishing and healing, and that is um, it's a it's such an innate part of us as humans. Like we are all born and designed to be able to express ourselves in some way, and so I feel really grateful that that I feel like poetry found me. I feel like the poetry gods and goddess and angels, they work through me, which is really beautiful. But part of my work that I do in the world with predominantly women, I mean, I work with men as well, but I guide a lot of women's circles and healing circles. Um, and there's something really beautiful about witnessing ourselves and watching others be able to find their voice again,
Mm.
find that unique voice and their divine gift, and be able to share that with the world. And that's what I'm really passionate about in my work, is helping women go to the spaces, go to the dark places. I do a lot of shadow work and inner child work, and go to those spaces that are hard to talk about and hard to even meet within ourselves. So my part of my personal story is struggling a lot with addiction, an addiction in many different facets. I feel like I kind of went from one addiction to the next, as one does. So I've struggled, with numbing, as you know. And I feel there's one of my teachers always said to me, we're all on the scale of addiction. So there's so much stigma around addiction, but we're all on this scale of addiction. And we all have these ways, whether it's through drugs or alcohol or shopping or social media scrolling or eating. Like there's so many ways we numb ourselves away from feeling fullness of ourselves. And I mean, you know this beautifully too. Like we've learned so much of this through our beautiful teachers at Off the Mat. And it really took me a really long time. I feel like I've been on this journey a long time, and only in the last even like year, kind of with the birth of this book, I felt like there was a really big shift in me that went from like just constantly being almost in my cycle of addiction and trauma. And I was almost just, it was like I was addicted to being sad and addicted to being like a mess with it all. And And there was something that really shifted when I found a lot more softness and compassion for the hard shit, like for the heartache of it all. And that's the beautiful thing about yoga and meditation is it teaches us to find our softness, and it teaches us to melt away the layers
Mm.
that that are that sometimes are just, they're running the show. They're kind of like they're guarding us, and they're beautiful, but it's learning to let them in. It's learning to allow them to guide to guide you. So I feel like there's just been such a softness in my life in the last even just year. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of that had to do with the pandemic. I
Mm.
didn't, even though I've been a yogi for 20 years, I, I was still kind of in this, I was just very busy all the time. And I was caught in like this cycle, like the rat race,
Mhm.
and the pandemic for me really brought such a needed sacred pause. And I feel this is what we're going through right now, is like this sacred pause
Mm.
of like getting back to ourselves, softening, getting back to the heart, allowing the heart to lead us, and not be not being so hard on ourselves in the process of this journey. And I think that's kind of like my thesis of like some of my work, and now why I offer what I do is like I have grown up with this perfectionist, like so hard on myself, need things to be perfect all the time, like tendencies, and they came from a lot of my trauma. But I didn't realize how much they were infiltrating into my life and blocking me from really living a more full expression, like happier and of service in a deeper way. And it's not to say, that I think there's sometimes a misconception sometimes in the spiritual world, but in like this kind of self-help, or I don't know, whatever we want to call it, so many labels, that we start doing start doing this work and getting on this more conscious path, and it's like, oh well, then we're going to just be happy all the time. And
Mm.
that is just not the case. It's about really feeling the fullness of our life as a human, and that means feeling the dark, feeling the light. And they're neither, one's not better than the other. It's about, being present to ourselves.
Mhm.
And I feel like being present and being able to just witness ourselves going through the things that we're going through that's like the most beautiful blessing and gift we can offer the world, is to find, one of my teachers, she says that the most beautiful thing we can share with others is our inner state.
Beautiful.
And that's what really just kind of keeps me grounded in this work, and in my writing, is just, and doing my practices, is tending to my own inner state, tending to my own, navigation of the madness and the shitstorm that is life sometimes.
Yeah.
And to be able to soften and share with others, the wisdom I've learned about, the tools of softening, but
Mm.
also, just to share that more divine place of I am allowed to soften
Mhm.
even when there's chaos and hardness around me.
Beautiful.
And that has been, some of my most beautiful lessons, that I'm safe to do that. And I think for people who are highly sensitive and who have experienced trauma, sometimes the world becomes very unsafe, and we start living in these patterns that are just kind of, we're on the defense. So
Mhm.
there's such a beauty in the softness of just being able to get back to that essence of ourselves.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. I I feel that from you, and I've noticed that from you. I think ever since we first met, at Off the Mat into the World's intensive leadership training at Omega, and that in and of itself was a huge journey, and it continues to be a huge journey. And it really does stem uh, from stillness. It stems from softness. And when you were sharing and talking about you know your addictions and just being addicted, like it almost it made me think of like being addicted to my addictions almost. And I remember this was a few years back. I saw that Tommy Rosen was doing a workshop in New Jersey, and I knew I wanted to meet him and kind of get a feel for his work. And there was a part of me that was like, uh, but I don't have any hardcore addictions, right? And like then I really sat with it, and I was like, wait a minute, I am addicted to anxiety. Like that feels so much like my addiction that I'm so well aware of. And that was like a huge thing, right? Because I thought like, oh, for me to participate and be a part of something uh, like this, like an addiction workshop, I was like, kind of who am I to go? And it was really like eye-opening and heart-opening of like, whoa, I'm actually addicted to my anxiety. I'm addicted to worrying. I'm addicted to, I would even say, my depression. Like, like it just is. And there's no shame in that, and like you were saying too, being on this path for however long, I feel like people that are not fully on this path, and like we're all on our own journey, but like people that don't do the work that we do, there's such assumption of like, oh, you do yoga and you do meditation and like you do breath work and you should be super super okay and like not angry and like all these things. And it's like, I'm human. Like, we are all human, and we go through all these different emotions and feelings and anxieties and addictions. And there's no shame in that. And one of the things too that came through for me as you were talking about softness is stillness. And I don't know if you're familiar with the gene keys.
Somewhat.
The gene keys, for those of you who aren't familiar, are a kind of like guidepost to your deeper DNA. And you can create.
It's based on numerology, isn't it?
I think it's like numerology.
It's based on your.
I think it's based on numerology in the I or something like that. By
Okay. Yeah.
And a very, very dear friend of mine, Blue, who teaches soulful sessions in the Create community, did my hologenetic profile. And what I just wanted to share there was that within my profile, it came across that a big piece for me towards creation and expression is stillness. And really creating that intentionality of giving myself the space of the first 20 minutes to be for me when I wake up. you know, like doing my hot water with lemon and Himalayan sea salt, and you know, now going to be playing the therapy harp. Like I just really felt such,
Mm.
yeah, I just felt such commonality there when you shared softness. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
There's such I thank you so much for sharing that. There's such a beauty in I'm such a huge advocate of morning practices and really starting your day in that energy of softness.
Mm,
Morning practice is something, that I've done for years, but it's been such an interesting little kind of anchor point in my life that has been interesting to witness myself move through my morning practice over the years and
mm.
watch my kind of evolution in my own journey, because I feel like I started out my morning practice being super rigid, like this asana set and this know, and like judgment, but it's interesting, like witnessing point for me of watching myself and my tendency with my morning practice.
Mm-hmm.
They're in doing the same practice every morning for like 40 days or 21 days or 90 days or a year, however long you're feeling intuitively guided to do that.
Right.
Um, and then there's also a beauty in doing different practices every morning. And the cool thing about doing the same practice every morning, which I just had this really beautiful experience last week, but doing like the same type of practice at the same time is you
Mm,
really, and I mean, this is part of, the yogic philosophy as well, is being able to just witness yourself and your energetic rhythms and where you're at, mind, in your mental body and your physical body and your spiritual body, just witnessing yourself and where you're at in that present moment, and using that as a practice of connecting with um, um, cultivating cultivating awareness, and but using it, as more of like like you said, guideposts. So many beautiful practices that help us that are like our guideposts. But just as to where we're at in that moment. So last week I had this I was part of a healing series called Healing Light series, which we gathered every day for 10 days with a group of women to offer meditation and sound healing. And my girlfriend calls it Reiki. I channel more universal light. I've not been trained in Reiki, so I will call it energy medicine. You can call it divine love or white light, but just allowing that to ourselves to be bathed in that. And it was such a beautiful experience, but it's there's something really special and sacred about a morning practice.
yeah.
And it can be as simple as like having that glass of water. It can be as simple as taking 5 breaths. It can be as
Mm-hmm.
simple as putting like a tiny little drop of essential oil, little plant magic, like 1 drop into your hand, and then just
Yeah.
taking a moment to breathe it in.
Totally.
And like that could be how you start your day. And it can be also as extravagant as like, let's do a 20 minutes meditation. Let's do an hour-long movement practice. Let's do, let's have a goddess bath and anoint myself in oils and write in my gratitude journal and landing out all the things. Have like a little mini retreat at the beginning of the day. It can be different. It can be whatever fits for you. And that's like the beautiful thing about these practices that we both know and love,
Yeah.
yoga, meditation, and all of the self-care and self-development work, is like, at the end of the day, it's like, what does your heart feel called to?
Yeah.
What is your intuition telling you? And just do that. And that's at the essence. The more you do these types of practices, the more you're able to listen to those inner whispers. And then the noise of like the external and the influences of like society and the influences of like our mom
Yeah, right.
and like our family and all of those things, they start to like, it's not that they don't matter, but it's just like, no, the most important part is trusting my inner guidance and knowing that I know what's right for me. My body is such an intelligent, beautiful, I don't want to say machine, but that's the word that's coming to me right now. Temple, yeah, container.
Yeah.
And they are so wise. So when, you know, we just
Yeah.
leave some space
Really, I
and
love
create that space,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, it's really
down.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
what came to mind as you were sharing this, and thank you so much for sharing, is awareness, right? Awareness. And one of the most beautiful things that my fellow soul brother Adam Roa shares, who is also an amazing poet and spoken word artist, creator of
Adam Roa?
Mhm.
I know
Wait,
him.
do you know him? Oh,
I don't know him personally, but yeah, his work is beautiful.
I
He's a
love
beautiful poet. If he ever watches this, I want to like I'm trying to get the lion in the back.
You're so cute.
Sorry, but go on. And yeah, and if Adam Rowe is ever watching this, soul brother, I would love to connect with you because
Totally.
peace and love, I resonate deep with your work, and I feel like we are supposed to connect.
Totally. Yeah.
But yes, please, sorry to interrupt.
No sorries, right? No sorries. Yeah. Adam Roa, he is just such a beautiful gem and such an angel. And one of the most beautiful things that he says is awareness gives us choice. And I just, that resonates so much for me, right? Like I literally got goosebumps, right? I literally got goosebumps. And just awareness gives us choice. Just like let us breathe that in, you know? And
Amen, sister. Awareness, I always say, awareness leads to choice, and choice leads to change. Just to further it a little bit.
Yeah. It's just so beautiful. And I'm telling you, you have, get into create, get into the community. I mean, it is super magical, super special, super sacred. And we do offer like free events. There are free events. There's open mic night, which is tonight. There is actually coming up in a couple weeks, Adam and Dr. Kat Meyer, who teaches embodied exploration, will be doing a masterclass called Creating Chemistry. And so this month is all about love. And so that's going to be super juicy. I will send you the link. It's going to be super good.
Send me the link.
Yeah, shout out, because
yeah.
I love your perspective on so many things. And I will never forget when we did the off the mat training. And 2011, I think, crazy, at Omega, and we were in a circle, and I miss people so much. Like I miss circles so much. And I know, right? We were in a circle and we were going around. Deshaun was going around, and shout out to Sean, my Jersey girl. She was going around and like naming all of our group, and like we're a huge group. And she gets to you, and we're naming our name, and and you say Ashley Lord, and she's like, I love your last name. Like, I will never forget that. Like when she said that, I was like, you totally would love her last name. And I just find it so fun and fascinating, right? The names of people and like I'm such a curious person, and like I don't know, I just find it so interesting. And it's interesting too, like the things that stay with you, right? And
I was gonna say, I can't believe you remember that story. I love that you remember it. That's so special, because that was a really, it was such a beautiful moment for me too, because I remember she couldn't quite get it. She paused. It was like she couldn't remember. But then she said my full name, and like she was only saying everybody else's first names.
Right.
And then she was like, Ashley Lord. And I'm like, yeah. And it's really interesting because like I feel like I was born with, I mean, obviously a spiritual name that is my birth name. But it's always felt like, it's almost like I know that I have, I mean, we all have our divine purpose, but it's very interesting and kind of sweet to me that like naturally I went into like this profession, you could say, of like being in the spiritual world, and like a channel for the Lord, a channel for the divine, through my expression in poetry, through my expression in speaking, and through my expression in sound, and singing. So I have really, as I've grown up, and I think really more so lately, as I've, especially since publishing my book, and really kind of just needing almost to like step into those shoes of like needing to grow up a little bit and like really like claim that, and claim my purpose, and claim the work that I have to do here, which is like, it's serious, like important work. And it's also fun and light and playful, but there was a part of me in my own journey that was a little bit fear. I mean, Marianne Williamson says we are more afraid of our light than we are of our dark. And that really has always resonated so deeply with me. There's been like a really big fear to step into the work that I'm meant to do. And I remember on retreat, you were at the Ojai retreat as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
We were there because we went on 2 true retreats together. Yeah. And I remember Sean in Ojai, California. That was like a couple years later.
Yeah.
I remember her saying to me, because like I often will let my eyes kind of fall down and like not be standing tall, and not be, almost like taking that space and claiming the space that I take up.
Right.
And she mentioned to me, like, keep your eyes lifted, like keep that eye contact and stay in your container and stay in your power. And I've always just been like, there's been such a part of me that's been afraid to take up space and to be the fullest expression of me, both in my light and in my shadow. And that's something that, it sits deep in my heart. And it's now like something I really feel strongly guided to help other people with, is really claiming your authenticity and claiming the fierce light within you.
Yeah.
Totally. Both the light and the shadow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's beautiful, right? And another wonderful teacher of ours that came through for me as you were sharing this, especially around voice, is Suzanne Sterling, right? And so like during these leadership trainings, we really go deep. Like we really, really do. This isn't like, oh yeah, I want to be with my yoga people and have fun and No, this is like some serious shit. And, FYI peeps, this is, for 18 plus people.
We're going to say shit, fuck, all the things. I may drop some F-bombs. Like, you never know what's going to happen. If that's not your jams.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Love you.
You're like a Canadian. It's all. It is what.
We love you.
We love you too. And how important it is to express ourselves, right? How important it is to reclaim. I love, like when you said, claim that part of ourselves, because I do think it goes back to like the shame, right? The shame of our story, the shame of sharing. And there is no shame, right? There's like, and there still tends to be this like stigma around like the darkness, right? Around the shadow and around expressing ourselves and giving voice to our voice, right? Like, I didn't grow up with it being okay to, fully express, right? Um, and and so it's like a constant practice, right? A constant practice. And I'm curious, like, did you grow up with it, quote unquote, being okay to fully express and to, you know, have the full range of your voice? And I'm not just talking about singing voice, but actual like, speaking voice.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. I also feel like it's such an important question that you can, reflect on in your own heart for anyone watching as well, or listening, however. But yeah, in my own journey, I feel like when I did express, I wasn't always met with an openness. I had some elders, some parents, and, I love my parents dearly. I've had, beautiful relationships with both of them. Now we've had our trials and tribulations. But no, there was not always a space where I felt held and supported and nurtured and being able to have my full expression. And often that was in when I was experiencing something that was, for instance, I had a lot of challenge with my father and speaking to him, expressing myself.
Mm-hmm.
And because of his pain or his like there was always like a big kind of clash between the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
We triggered each other so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like there wasn't space for me to express how I felt and be fully received and supported in that. So there were so many other, I feel, kind of examples too in my life where I tried to express, and I was often met with the emotions of anger, with the emotions of frustration, with the emotions of just him not being able to kind of navigate how he was feeling because of my big expression. And this is I feel like this is something that is like so, I think, just essential as a parent, but also just as humans, is like we do our work so that we can soften and navigate not being triggered by someone else's reaction or experience that they're having, so that we can maybe receive them and hold space for them a little deeper. And that just creates so much more space for healthy, kind communication. And yeah, that's one of my deepest wounds, is not being fully able to be seen and held in all of my big expression. So yeah, it's thank you so much for asking that. It's something I feel really passionate about. Um, yeah, it's so beautiful to witness others in their journey. One of my clients, she said to me recently, she was just saying, she's like, thank you for helping me find my um, thank you for helping me find my confidence in my voice.
Mm.
And it was a confidence of like, I can be rooted in myself and express and I speak to you the way I need to, what I need to say, and trust that I'm going to be okay. Because and it was just really beautiful to hear that, because I think sometimes we get like, we can get really nervous about. I remember so many times, like, I would be freaked out before I needed to have big conversations with my dad, like literally palms sweating, chatting, like teeth chattering, like can't actually, like physically, like blocked and locked. um and so it's, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So one of my coaches, she always refers to it as like having like a 5-minute sweaty conversation, and the importance of like just expressing how you feel, even if it's going to be like awkward, and even if you're going to feel like, oh my God, I don't know how the other person's going to take this. When
Mhm.
we speak from our authentic truth and our heart, you can't go wrong. And the
Yeah.
more I think that we ground into, again, like being solid in ourselves and confident in the fact that we're connected to our heart, and that that is what is true for us.
Right.
And if we're not like spiritually bypassing as well,
Yeah.
that's kind of another facet of like, that's like, we don't have to go into that, but like being really like truthful with yourself, and like, this is where I'm at. Yeah, it just can lead to just so much more beauty and so much more kindness and lightness, and sometimes it leads to kind of a bit of chaos as well. But I think just like at the end of the day, we feel better being able to just get that stuff out.
Yeah.
And I think that, I believe that, we can move towards a world where we can be kinder to each other, where we can notice where we're showing up in relationship, and really just do the work to soften the layers of our heart, so that, I keep saying this, but it's like, that's the essence of it for me, because that's what enables us to be just in right relationship with all the things in our lives, and like with other people in the world. And that's what I think will lead to just a softer, happier, safer community spaces.
Yeah, definitely. It's really
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really
Yeah.
it does come down to um as hard as it is, sometimes it really does come down to love and
Mm-hmm.
compassion and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I also um, grew up with it not really being okay to fully express myself, in the way that I know is okay. And, um, what came through for me as you were sharing about you and your dad is kind of like butting heads, right? Like they're just, you know, and it's so interesting too, that difference between reaction versus response. And
Mm-hmm.
um, especially when you're so close to your parents, and
Mm-hmm.
just that feeling, for me personally, that feeling of at times enmeshment, right? And I know that I'm extremely type A. I know that I'm extremely reactive and defensive. And it's such a challenge, right, with our parents. And they truly are, they truly are our greatest teachers. And one of the things, right? One of the things that
I was just about to say, like, as you were talking, I'm just like, yeah, and my dad is like my biggest teacher.
Yeah.
He is, yeah. And sorry, go on, but I
don't
fully agree. Our parents
right?
are our biggest, they're some of our biggest teachers. Yeah. And like another thing, as you were talking just quickly, it's I think for a long time I struggled so much with, I want our relationship to look a certain way. I want him to do this and I want him to do that and I want it to be this way, or else it's shit. And softening and learning to just witness and learning all of the things is like, you just have more of a spaciousness to see things as they are instead of how you want them to be. And that is how you soften from suffering. Because I feel like I just unnecessarily suffered for so many years because I was like, I want to have this relationship with him and it has to be this way and we have to. And it was just like, even saying it, I could, it's just like, it's that energy of like, you're just like this, you're pushing.
Yeah.
And Gabrielle Bernstein always talks about that, of like being a pusher. And like, I totally resonate with that. Of like, perfectionist, kind of trying to control everything.
Yeah.
Like push, need it my way.
Yeah.
Whew, shake that off.
Right? Yeah. Like,
yeah.
It's a lot, right? It's yeah. Beautiful. Like, it's a lot of energy, right? It's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And one of the other great things that Blue teaches in her soulful sessions, and Adam teaches in his energetic wizardry class, is trust the trust the trigger to teach, right? Trust the trigger to teach. And that, like, is so profound and so powerful. And it really is that, right? It is, as just as our parents are our greatest teachers, so is, so are our triggers, right? And and I think being such sensitive beings and empaths, right? Uh you can't help but like get triggered, right? You can't help but react. But I love what you said too about like, from suffering to softness, right? And that's really, I think, what it comes down to. And as we're coming to a close here, I just wanted to, see, um what kind of, the word that's coming up for me right now is like, what kind of nugget do you have for listeners of like, how do you kind of, uh I don't know what to say right now, but like, what is like one little nugget that you would share with the audience of like, I don't know what to say right now. I'm like a loss for words.
Yeah, I feel like I'm called to just share something from my book.
Yeah, that's
maybe
beautiful.
There's some wisdom in here that I can impart. So maybe I'll just kind of turn to some random pages, see what kind of comes.
See what spirit.
As you were talking, what's that?
I said, see what spirit has in store for you to read.
I know, as you were talking, I'm like, oh, I should share that poem. And oh, those are some words that should, that would be nice to come through. Okay, I feel like there's a couple of poems that I'll just leave you a couple little things as I just leaf through it. Okay. So this is from the end of the book. There is a softness that anchors the heart to this sweet moment, like a jewel of love that casts rainbows of light upon our wounds and honors our tears. Breathe into this space. The wise elder within is aching for trust right here as she holds this heart, reminding me to stay another moment in the madness. For within the darkness of fear, shame, and grief, I honor these magical gateways that melt me into the light. Lean in and trust in what is difficult. Hold space for yourself. Have the hard conversations. Share your truth because it matters. And remember, your anxious heart is always leading you towards where you need to go. For when we hold space, learn to love ourselves fully, our whole selves, all the parts, the dark, the light, with no judgment, become our own best friend. When we lean in, learn to sit in the discomfort of our shadow, our truth, forgive ourselves, and find kindness, compassion amidst the wildest of storms. It is here, in this space, where we are free. And this is where the magic is.
Gorgeous. So beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing that beautiful piece.
Thank you.
Oh, so beautiful. Oh my gosh, Ashley, this was amazing. This was beautiful. This is just so special on so many levels. And how best to have people connect with you, find you. Yeah.
Yeah. First, I'll just play you a little sound. So let's just, as we close, take our hands to our hearts and thank ourselves for being here today. So I thank you, Ella. I thank myself. I thank Spirit. And I thank everyone, whoever is tuning in and listening to these words, to this co-created space. I thank you so much. Take a deep breath in. Let it go out of the mouth. Soften the shoulders. Do that again. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. And if you have your hands on your heart, just take a little moment to acknowledge yourself for being here today. When we tune in and when we listen to others speak and when we choose to just dive into these vibrations through podcast or through poetry or whatever, we are choosing to be in a space with ourselves, in communion with ourselves, and to nourish. So to that, may you always feel that light in your heart, even when you feel like there is a madness around you. To that, may we just bow and say thank you. We thank ourselves. And then let's just have a little shake just to end things. Let's take our arms and just kind of throw them up and shake them around and shake, shake, shake. Shaking, moving medicine is the best. But yes, thank you so much for being here today. The best. You can connect with me, ashleylord.com. You can find me there. You can go there and you can download a free meditation. I think the meditation I just posted up there is for sleep.
Oh, nice.
I know a lot of us are having disturbed sleep right now. There's a lot kind of just been happening, and I've been noticing that like support with sleep is what was coming through for me. So there's a meditation that you can download, and then that'll kind of link you in with me. And I offer a love letter. Usually about once a month, sometimes a little more frequent, sometimes a little less frequent. It's all kind of in divine flow. So they will just kind of pop in from time to time. Yeah. And then you can find my book. It's available worldwide on Amazon. If you want a signed copy by me with like a little blessing and a little personal note, you can go to my website and it's on there. I think you just go to shop and then it's books, or you can just go to ashleylord.com / in the heart of the light. You can also connect with me on Instagram. Most of my handles, like my YouTube, my SoundCloud, yeah, they're all of them, but Instagram, Facebook as well. All my handles are Love Ashley Lord, LOVEASHLEYLORD. And yeah, reach out to me if you watch this and you're just like, I want to chat with you. I'm totally resonating with your vibes. Yeah, I love talking to everybody who we connect with. I feel like it's so beautiful when we have resonance with people because there's usually a reason when we resonate. So that's how I have always, that's my little like spirit whisper is like, ooh, there's something about this person. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, I need to reach out to them. So it's so beautiful. I check all my own emails. Yeah, so I'm here for you. Anything that came up for you in our little talk and you want to bounce it off of me, I'm here. Yeah, I got to with the plant magic. This is the plants that I've been called personally to share as like plant. They don't like us to say plant medicine. I really resonate with that word. But plant magic, plant medicine. This is the medicine that I've been called to work with. These beautiful essential oils, they have been a game changer in my life. And I incorporate essential oils, poetry, writing into the sacred work that I do and kind of like the energy alchemy. And then I also have a 90-day, sorry, it's not 90-day. I changed it. It used to be 90 days, but now it's, I think it's 11 weeks. Yeah, my 11 week program. So you can either work with me for a month or for 11 weeks. That's more like one-on-one work that I do. And that's called the Heart Medicine Journey. And so that kind of starts with just having a session with me, like a heart medicine experience, just to see how I work and to see if it's helpful for you. And sometimes, when I work with people, it's only one session that we come together for. And then it's like, okay, that's like, the next step is not working with me further. Or sometimes, okay, it is the next step that's working with me further and working together to co-create. Because everything I do, all of the sacred work that I do with women and the mentorships that I do, it's all in co-creation. And it's very much a container, a portal of support, whether that's one-on-one or through, more the group experiences. I will say one more thing. I'm launching something really exciting really soon. It's called Fierce Light Society. It's going to be a way for you guys to connect because I'm trying to stay off social media in like the work that I'm doing and have more of a sacred space to commune with people. Rather than on social media. So it's like I really like to have the closed spaces on Zoom and closed spaces. So there's something really fun in the works, Fierce Light Society coming soon. So reach out to me about that.
Love that.
Ella, I love you.
you.
Thank you so much, sister. I'm so proud of you. I honor you and this beautiful journey that you're starting with this podcast. May it bless and connect and support and bring all the magic it's supposed to all the hearts that it's supposed to. I am really honored to be here today. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Just means so much to me, and love you dearly and deeply, and thank you so much.
Always much love.
Much love.
Blessings.